Today's youth need teachers, volunteers, and most of all, well, they need you. I'm Doug Edwards, and I'm going to be talking with real youth mentors and students to give you the knowledge you need to be the best youth worker possible. This is Youth Worker on Fire. Hey, Youth Worker Nation, this is Doug Edwards, your host with Youth Worker on Fire, and I am real privileged to have Coach Jack Cole today. And Jack is a former teacher, coach, humanitarian. He's still a humanitarian. He's not a former. Works in his church, volunteers there. He's a missionary to Jamaica. He's adopted kids. He has his own children. His wife stayed at home. They agreed to have her stay at home while their children were growing up until they were ready to go to school. And now not only is he a teacher and coach, but his wife is still a teacher in the public school system. So Youth Worker Nation, the sound quality is not the best. It is in our early recordings when we first started. And so Jack Cole is going to tell you how to have a great attitude in times when you just don't want to, and how to take into consideration that everybody has a bad day, including your students and their families. We're covering several types of people here. Some that may need to go into coaching, may need to go into teaching or some kind of profession that affects adolescents and young adults. Could be volunteers, and also to encourage people who have been in for a while as a profession. They're wondering if they just need to stay in. They're wondering if they're being effective. We all go through different points and weariness, and we're covering a lot of different things like there. But so your story, we'll cover a lot of that simply because how long did you teach?
46 years.
So nothing ever changed. I mean, it was just exactly the same every day, right?
No, it's always changing. And you better change with it, too.
That's right, constantly. Yeah. Tell me about your high school, your adolescent years. The people who had influence on you, volunteers, teachers, coaches.
I think a couple of them are real quick. In high school, a coach, obviously, and VOAG teacher. I was born in southeast Missouri, down in what they call the Boot Heel in cotton country.
Yeah.
And my dad was a cotton farmer. I was in a big family. Actually, I was born at home. I was not born in a hospital. But I grew up in that area, small town, small high school. And I took VOAG. My early years in high school, that's what my dream was. I wanted to be either a county agent, county agriculture agent, or a VOAG teacher. Mm-hmm. But then as time went on, and that changed, and I got into more athletics and stuff. Had a great, big family, but a good family. Good mom and dad, 13 of us, and so we knew how to pick cotton and hoe cotton. Those of us that were older did, so we did that a lot. And
what kind of year span between the oldest and the youngest?
Probably 25 years, maybe.
Yeah, wow.
I'm number 4. I'm one of the older ones.
Okay.
But yeah, that was a lot of it, and a lot of good teachers. My second grade teacher was also my 4th grade teacher, Miss Nell Long.
Yeah.
Little old lady. She was good to me.
Do you remember her name? Yeah, that's a big deal.
She gave me a first spanking in school in the 2nd grade. Gave me a spanking, but it was deserved, so no question. Yeah, I liked her a lot. Going on past high school, in college, I had a assistant basketball coach who was and still is the most influential guy outside of my father that I ever knew. His name is Hoyt Kirk, and this was a Christian junior college then in Henderson, Tennessee. Coach Kirk was great about what he did, because I played sports, and I had to play sports. That's the only way I was going to get an education. There's no money at home for me to go to college, and so that's what I did. Many times in practice, and the thing that stuck out to me, he was a coach who was a Christian and practiced it. Because sometimes coaches they're more involved in their coaching, and they might go to church on Sunday morning, but they're really, their life
weren't necessarily practicing it, right?
Yeah. Right, but he did. In many a practice, we'd be out on the court, and things would be going right, or two guys get agitated with each other, and here come the scriptures and the advice. So Yeah, I always look to him. He's still alive, by the way. He's 88 or 89 now, and
Wow.
still keep in contact with him. But he impacted a lot of people, but he was a great impact on me.
Yeah, it's amazing what consistency and consistency in a good way does for people long term, and so that had an influence on the way you responded to life as well, along with your dad.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how did the teaching career thing come up? Is that what you always did?
Yeah, for the most part. I took a break one time back 88 to early 90s, 88, 91, went full-time youth ministry.
Oh, really?
In a church out in Plainview, Texas. I did that. But I'm always
So people actually live in Plainview, Texas, okay.
Yeah. It's 25,000, they say.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, all the small towns are big in Texas.
Right, right. But it was a nice experience too, but the schools weren't great there for our kids were coming through, and so we decided to come back to Florida and give them a better opportunity, and it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But
Your wife is from here originally?
she was born in Leesburg,
Okay.
graduated from Bible school, Mount Dora.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I met her in college. I did, Doug, what I told kids here at Eustis a time or two before. Back in our days, the players went with the cheerleaders. I was a player. She was a cheerleader. That's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I got lucky.
Yeah.
Still going with her.
That's right. That's right. That's
45 years.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Love of your life.
Yep. It sure is.
Yeah.
She sure is.
So what were some of the things that made you want to go into teaching? And did she teach as well?
She does. And she's still teaching at Umatilla. She's a guidance counselor at Umatilla Elementary. The early days of our marriage, she did not teach.
Mm-hmm.
She raised kids.
Mm-hmm.
I think we did the right thing. I wouldn't change anything that we did, but she stayed home until our last child was in school.
Yeah.
And then
Smart.
And then my encouragement was that she be a teacher like I was. That way you're off when the kids are off. You're out in the summers, Christmas. She could go home after school, have to work with them, even though she had work to do at school. But
Right.
it was the right thing for us.
Yeah.
It was.
No, that's good. That's good.
How did I get into teaching? I guess in college, playing sports, being in athletics, and like I said, I wanted to be an agriculture teacher. It was just something that was in there somewhere, and finally I decided this is where I'm going.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's been good. It's been good.
It's been good for other people to have you, because I've seen you teach and coach over the years, and you're a positive influence. You're a great influence for people. A lot of times you could have blown up or got agitated. You had a pretty cool and calm demeanor, and
Try to.
Yeah, and that's difficult. That's difficult when you're dealing with adolescents, especially on the high school level. High school is so much different than middle school and college. They feel like they've got the world by a tail, that they're it. Middle school, quite a bit of insecurity. College, you're insecure again, still trying to figure life out. But in high school, it seems like you've arrived. And so some of the attitude comes with that.
Yeah.
So for someone to be calm and be consistent when you can be, and none of us are 100%, because we all have flaws, and that's, I was talking to a gentleman today who was a student here when I started doing student ministry in the area, and would come here, and he said it was okay for people to not be perfect 100% of the time or at all, as long as they were humble enough to admit it. And
that's a good statement.
Yeah, and he gave a couple of examples that had happened to him, and that he was able to accept that because they simply said, you know what, I'm not trying to tell you to be like me in this area. Here's a flaw of mine. You saw the flaw. I have this flaw, but try to avoid it if you can.
Right.
It's
good.
And so you can respect people like that. So tell me why you think other people ought to go into the teaching profession. It's not meant for everybody. Or why they should coach, or why they should volunteer.
I always looked at this way, Doug, and I love teaching. I did, and coaching. And I felt like the classroom as well as the court or the baseball field, that's really a microcosm of life.
Yeah.
In that you're dealing with a group of people from different backgrounds, different personalities, trying to mold them into a purpose. which whether it's to play ball, whether it's to learn history, whether it's to learn to do push-ups right or get fit or whatever. So it's just a little microcosm of life, and I always tell my kids, my students and athletes, this is real life. You're in high school, and this is real life. You're going to understand that some days you're not going to feel good, or coach is not going to feel good, and they're going to snap at you, or you're going to have a bad day. That's life. What are you going to do to handle that? And it transfers over in your relationships with each other. It's going to transfer over into your job, in your career, and in your family. A man and woman don't always get along, but you gotta understand you're committed to each other in a relationship, in a marriage, and so we're going to work through this. And so I've always looked at it from that, and we dealt with issues on the court or in the classroom as they come up, and use those times as teaching time. I've always thought there's a place for book learning. But I think the bigger learning is the relationship and the social and the things beyond the classroom. The classroom doesn't address the student that comes to school that's got a headache, or there's trouble at home and couldn't sleep last night, or they broke up with their boyfriend or their girlfriend. And there's all kinds of things that come into each of our lives every day, aside from just doing our job or going to class. The book will teach us how to do something, but it doesn't bring in all the other things.
Doesn't bring in all the human elements that that cause life.
That's right.
Yeah. And so what do you think the easiest thing and the hardest thing were about coaching and teaching?
The most difficult is getting around these things that come up that you can't control. Okay, the easiest part of it is just projecting how much you love what you're doing and trying to get them to see it, or you see it in them. And the fun part is see an athlete or a student who has so much potential that needs just encouragement or attaboys or an opportunity to stretch themselves to build that confidence. That's huge, I think. But I think if I was going into a teaching career, I do think it's important. Our country has got to have it. Our world has to have educated people. But the education is more than the textbook or the test. The education is relationships and teaching integrity and teaching honesty and morality, and we've got to have people do that. Now, some days it don't feel good, but most of the days you get rewarded. You'll feel rewarded, and certainly as years pass, you'll have kids come to you, former students come to you who are now adults now and have their kids. They will say things that you've probably forgot about or something, but I had a former student yesterday at Gold's Gym. Come up to me. I did not know who she was. It was a girl, and her hair's dyed a different color now, and she had to tell me who she was, but she called me the wrong name too. So I wouldn't change anything different than what I've done in my life.
That's good to hear.
I really think it's good, and I think it's tough. And you got some parents and stuff like this but we've always had some of that.
Well, you're dealing, and that is it. When you're dealing with youth, when you're dealing with adolescents, you're dealing with young adults even, but more with that adolescent era or time period. You're dealing with parents. You're dealing with families. You're not dealing with one individual. And I think sometimes when we teach and coach and pastor or whatever we do, we forget when we're dealing with this individual, we're dealing with an entire family. Because it's going to affect the family when this person gets home. It's going to affect the family when this person is either happy or sad or mad, when they get home because of something you said, did, or taught that hurt or helped. I remember there's times I'd have to step back and go, wait a minute, do I want to say this person, here's the whole family that I'm engaged with. How's what I'm going to say here going to affect them? Doesn't happen often, but there were times when I went, okay, now let's reevaluate what you're going to say here.
That's right. You're right. You're exactly right. Mistakes are long remembered.
Yes, they are.
So you have to caution.
Yeah.
Let me back up a little bit and give you a thought that my dad gave me that I've always tried to remember. Don't always remember it at the right times. But here was one of the things that he told me, and that is this. He said, if you'll just listen to people, you will know what you already know, and you're going to learn what they know. And so sometimes, and I found that to be true in confrontational things, let them talk. Don't interrupt. Don't interrupt.
I've seen you do that. I've seen you do that, actually. And I didn't think about that till right now.
That come from him.
Yeah.
And it's boded well.
There's a gal by the name of Vanessa Van Edwards, and I've talked about her several times. She's been, I don't know her. She's not a relative, but she is a podcast and teacher host. She's a teacher of body language and what happens with people when they act a certain way or they do certain things. You can tell they are this. If they do this, you can tell they're that. If they're not, you can tell what their attitude is that day. And when teaching, you got 40 years in, you've picked up some of that. You may not have called it body language, but your brain was picking it up. Oh, this person is this way. I better talk this way, or I better come over here, or I better put an end to it.
Yeah, because if you're with them every day, you know them in their normal setting.
Yeah.
But if they come in one day and they're not their usual self, it's easy to pick that up.
And a plethora of things could have happened. I mean, you just don't know from the time they leave school and they spend a night at their home and it could have something happened the moment they woke up that you just don't know. Right. And some very difficult things have happened to people.
Right.
And sometimes it's just a matter of they're hungry. They're tired, something's happened. There's the human element there again of body language that I know that you picked up on. But one thing that she said was to be the most influential person in the room, ask the question and shut up and just listen. And then you're the most influential person in the room. If it's a party, whether it's a classroom, whatever it is.
Yeah. Because
people don't listen. And I struggled with that. I had to work on that. I still have to work on that.
Yeah. Well, I think we all do to a point, but it bodes well for all of us if we will just hold on and listen.
A lot of times they'll answer their own problems, won't they?
Yeah.
Calm themselves down. Dr. Michael J. Bradley wrote a book called Yes, Your Teen is Crazy. And categorically, he gives the science behind it. He's a therapist. One thing he talks about is if you're shut up as a parent sometimes and just listen to your kid rant and rave or whatever the situation is, a lot of times they will start calming down because the only voice that's speaking is theirs and they're starting to hear themselves rant and rave. They're going, oh, I sound pretty stupid now.
Yeah, I think I've probably been guilty of that before.
Yeah.
I think we all have.
Sure we have. I know I have as a child, as a student, and as an adult. I was pretty tough on my volunteers. I was taught to be, and a book called Unsung Heroes, and part of the reason is that it said, tell them how tough it's going to be. Tell them how hard it's going to be, and tell them it's going to be harder than it's going to be. Because if you tell them it's easier, you're lying to them. It's not going to be easy. So, but I was so tough. But some of my guys would stay 20, 25 years. They'd stay a long time as volunteers, which is crazy. People don't do that as volunteers.
Right.
And I know later in life, these people, some of them are still my friends, and I go, you know what? I'm so sorry. I said, I know I did the right thing, and it was something that helped you, because these, when you put people to a higher standard, they rise up to it. The ones that don't need to be there, they'll fade away. But the people who really are there for the challenge and there to help people, they want to know how hard it is. They want to know how demanding it is so they can prepare. Not so they can run, but so they can prepare to, okay, this is worth it. As a leader, sometimes you go, gosh, I was tough on those people. It was tough on me being tough on them.
Right.
Well, tell me your best coaching experience that you remember.
I can tell you 2 seasons. One with boys and one with girls. The boys, years ago, I was in Oklahoma coaching out there. I had a boys team that if a game was close, we won.
Mm-hmm.
They were not the best athletic team. And we go on. We lost 3 or 4 games, but we won a lot of games, tournaments, everything. And it was just a bunch of kids that if the game was close, there was something in that group that would not quit. And I felt it, and maybe we fed each other. But I could draw up a play to win. We won a tournament. We won, but I could draw up a play, and those guys would go execute it, and it'd work.
They really worked together. They believed in each other.
And so they were a
believed in you.
Well, they believed in each other, and they believed in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And the girls' team, best team I ever coached, was here at Eustis.
Yeah.
We were 4th in the state that year. We were 24-3. I think there's a plaque on the walls that I think Coach Bruno, when she was AD, put down there.
Mm-hmm.
But those girls, that was a very talented, very smart academic bunch of girls. Kristen Birds, Jessica Roop, Jody Bush, Jarday Robinson,
Yeah,
Keisha
remember a lot of
Bowers.
those names, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, you just go down the line, and those girls were really fun and really competitive, and it's shown in their adult life. They've all, because they were good academic kids too, but you look at their careers now and what they have done, and they were successful then, but they're successful now. Jessica Roop has a doctorate. She has a PhD from Colorado, University of Colorado.
Wow.
Physical therapy.
Yeah.
Jody Bush is a nurse. Jarday has a MBA from Weber, played down there and grad assistant there, and she's a master's degree. And Kristen Bird was an F-16 pilot, married a pilot, went to Air Force Academy and married a pilot. And
I bought her truck from her, so I still have her truck.
Oh, that Toyota?
Yeah.
And
she kept it up well.
Yeah. But, you know, she's a stay-home mom now with 2 babies and married a husband, just doing great. And, you know, you go on down the line with that group, and it was more than just those 5. There was a bunch of other ones, but that was a good bunch of girls.
Yeah.
And one of the things I stick with them was Kristen Bird said this, and if you had to know her, she was very intense.
Mm-hmm.
We were, I believe, 19-1, and she told me one day, "Coach, you're too easy on us," and that stuck with me. It's like, we're 19-1. I didn't say that. We're 19-1. But Coach, you're too easy on us. That's the kind of kids they were. So that was a favorite team. That was a favorite team.
They wanted coaching. If you're too easy on them, they wanted coaching. There was a synergy. You know, the word I've been using with several of these interviews is the word synergy comes up because it's that energy between that coach and each player that just merges and ignites a flame. Mm-hmm. And like you say, one of the great rewards of working with adolescents is you get to see who they were and you get to see who they become.
That's right.
And
That's right.
and a lot of times who they were is who they're going to become. There's some that actually they mature later, or they get that work ethic later. But for a large part, a lot of them already have it.
Mm-hmm.
And it just keeps transferring.
Yeah.
And that could come from parents, from coaching. It's usually a different influences that just keep occurring in their life from different areas that cause a lot of that catapulting. I tell people that middle schoolers, and I tell middle schoolers this, or at least I did for many years, and that was, what you are dreaming of right now is probably the thing you need to be dreaming about. Mm-hmm. Because the most creative time in their life is in middle school, and a lot of times they'll get talked out of it in high school and later in life.
Yeah, peer pressure.
Peer pressure, and sometimes parental pressure, and sometimes I remember a teacher of mine laughing when he found out I was going to go to college. He's my favorite teacher. Mm-hmm. But I had no idea what he thought of me. What he thought was that I was not college material.
Right.
And he was no longer my best teacher.
Right. Right.
He was the guy that I just want to say, I don't care if I ever see this guy again, and I will prove him wrong. And I did, went through college and did all right and that sort of thing. But those people influence us to do certain things. And some people, most of us, I think, and you can tell me this, I think most people need encouragement. You can be tougher on them, just like Kristen Bird was saying, because you're not tough enough on us. Mm-hmm. You know what? When that toughness comes out of love and passion for them, they know it.
Right.
And and sometimes they'll go, give me more of that. Because I know why you're doing it, and this is good for me. Mm-hmm. And let me go the next mile. Show me how hard I can push where it seems like I can't. Yeah. Tell me the unusual things you've seen. Tell me the kid that you didn't see it coming, and all of a sudden there's an explosion happened in their life that just drove them to greatness.
All right, I'll tell you one. The guy's name is Joel Means. Now he's Dr. Joel Means.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you two. I mean, Joel real quick, and then I'll tell you another.
Sure.
That I just recently had contact with. Dr. Joel Means played basketball for me. Not a very good basketball player. I can remember distinctly him coming out. We used to have the warm-up pants he ripped off, the snaps.
Yeah.
Going out to shoot layups, running out on the court with those, and he's ripping his, and they didn't work good, and he tripped and stumbled.
Oh.
He was clumsy.
Oh.
Joel Means went on through high school, went to college, got his PhD at Texas A&M.
Yeah? Wow.
In physics.
Okay.
I'll tell you what he does. He is a super spy for the U.S. government.
Really?
If certain people in certain parts of the world knew where he was, they would take him out. But he knows how to stumble on a basketball court, taking his pants off at the time. Now that's, I mean, another one I just ran into that's wonderful. I had her at Mount Dora Bible. Her name is Ekene Eninum Chukwu. She's of African descent.
Can you say that, right?
Yeah. She had a sister, Chibuzo, and a brother, Induka. Now, they are all American. They were born here, but their parents came from Africa. Very smart kids. Ekene played basketball for me and was a pretty good ball player. But she finished, and her mother would always say, she couldn't play, she had to get her schoolwork first. That was most important for them. She went on to finish at Mount Dora Bible, and then went to Duke, and then went to Vanderbilt. Wow. And she has a PhD and an MD in oncology.
Wow.
She teaches.
A lot of years of school.
She teaches at Stanford University. She's a professor at Stanford University.
That's no small thing.
And she works at the Stanford University Hospital. She has an MD and a PhD.
That's incredible. And
that's somebody you didn't see that coming.
No. Wow.
I mean, I knew she was smart, but I didn't.
You didn't know she's that smart.
But I contacted her not long ago.
Part of that smart's not just smart, it's endurance. Not only was she mentally smart, but she was mentally tough.
Yes.
You have to be.
But a great girl.
Yeah. Well, Coach, anything you want to say? Anything last comments to people that are...
Teachers are needed, just like we needed teachers when we were coming through.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we may think this new generation, this millennial thing is going on, that they don't, but they do.
Yeah.
They need us.
Well, Coach, we're going to leave them with that. Hopefully this has helped you, and keep looking at the series.
You've been listening to the Youth Worker on Fire podcast. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and tell your friends. Also, leave a comment and tell us what you think. Stay tuned for more informative episodes.